Welcome to The Ally Effect with Allyson Blythe, authentically living life your way. We all contemplate making changes in our lives that would allow us to live more authentically, but it can be hard to take action. Allyson is here to educate, equip, and empower you with the tools you need to start authentically living life your way. Get ready to eradicate your limitations and destructive patterns as you take full responsibility for your own happiness. This show is not just talk. It is conversation for profound self-awareness, acceptance, and appreciation, the key elements to stepping into the power as the creator of your very best life. The Ally Effect with Allyson Blythe starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome. You're listening to The Ally Effect, Authentically Living Life Your Way with me, Allyson Blythe, certified life coach and licensed clinical social worker. You can join me the first and third Thursday of every single month right here on Transformation Talk Radio as we dig deep into this concept of authenticity, helping you understand it on such a deeper level, because we all know it seems so easy, just be yourself. And yet in reality, today's day and age, with filters and all these pressures to perfect and perform, it's way tougher than one might actually think it to be. So this is where you can come to actually learn tools, tips, and techniques to educate, equip, and empower you in authentically living life your way. Stay with me for the next hour. We're going to cover yet another topic, supporting you in learning to build muscle, so to speak, to show up in the world fully as yourself. This is where you come to transform through practical tools and some real talk. Don't mind this stuff I've got going on. I'm not sure what happened, but it kind of hit me out of nowhere over the past couple of days, and we're just going to keep pushing through, and I'm just going to make the most of it. So we've hit quite a run over the past couple of weeks. I started introducing the topic of empathy. And weeks ago, I told you about an incident of road rage that I had that really caught me off guard. Like I was really taken aback. And yet it spun me into this critical level of awareness where I was like, what are we doing to each other in the world? And how can we start to be much more practical and deliberate about using the tool of empathy? Which then triggered a whole other conversation to a much deeper, more unique, elite population in the world, because I shared not just about the emotion of empathy, but the community in our world of empaths, people who are actually wired, a pretty rare population in our world, of people who show up in the world with such deeper levels of emotion. They kind of feel all the feels of the earth, people, places, and things affect them. People who are empaths can detect and sense energy and emotion like a lot of other people can't necessarily. And so it's this element where people are showing up in the world as empaths and not knowing what's going on with them. It's a precious community of people. And so last time, to even drive that lesson even further, I brought with you two special guests who shared about their experience of living life as empaths. Two pretty amazing women who I've gotten to know over the course of several years, who shared very vulnerably their journey and what it has been like for them to function and relate in the world as empaths. They shared deeply and pretty intimately, as empaths certainly know how to do. Empaths can't really stand superficial conversation. We go right to the depths, and we did that last time that we were together. And a lot of times what happens with empaths is that they'll ask that question. They feel distorted, dysfunctional in a lot of ways. And they ask that classic empathic question, what is wrong with me? Why can't I be more like normal people, right? Normal, whatever that might be. And these ladies put it all out there. And so if you haven't taken the time to listen to that show, do yourself a favor, go all the way back, start with that empathy challenge, learn more about, am I an empath in this world? And then the risk these lovely ladies took in order to kind of express themselves and share the heart of their stories. As is the case with everything in life, there's so much that happens behind the scenes. And so last time when we finished up the recording, we actually just kept the conversation rolling. It was like we all just kind of like were chiming in. And even our producer, Lydia, at the time, shared about some of her experience. And she started to question, like, wait a minute, I can really relate to this stuff. Am I an empath too? It was really some great stuff. And we knew we weren't done. We knew we had more to offer and to share. And today we plan to do just that. So ladies, I want to welcome you one more time. Kimmy and Carrie, hi.
Hi there, Allyson.
It's great for you guys to be back. I always appreciate spending time with you guys. I'm wondering, so we're going to dive in and just see where the conversation goes, very much like we did last time. We had kind of talked about a little bit, what do we want to cover? And then we just found that we just kind of traveled our own road, which was really awesome. I want to know, how was it last time? You both were very much on display in a very public format, sharing authentically, very, very vulnerably. How was that for you in terms of doing the show and sharing so honestly?
I'll go first. I think I immediately reached out to you thinking, oh my goodness, as an empath, you want to be able to really help somebody. So I think I was so afraid, did I say the right things? And, just being nervous, was I authentic enough? Because I want people to really know this is really an amazing gift, but I want them to know that it does come with some difficulties and how to navigate that. So I really wanted to make sure I was communicating it, and I think I was just super nervous through it all. But this time I do feel a lot more relaxed. So just very nervous, questioning. But I think as an empath, you just want to make sure that you're helping somebody else, and that's what I was hopeful for. So
yeah, you absolutely did do that. Yeah. How about for you, Carrie? What was it like?
You know what? I can relate to the feeling of being, just anxious, and then kind of having that, did I say the right thing? Did I say something that somebody might take the wrong way? Did I share too much? So there was vulnerability involved, but there's also a sense of authenticity of like, it felt so good to actually share who I truly am, because I've spent so much of my life not being afraid to do that because of feeling different, because of feeling wrong, because of not understanding myself. And so the fact that I'm in a place now where I understand myself enough to actually be able to share that, to articulate that. I have information about my journey that makes sense to me, that maybe would help someone else. That felt really, really empowering, actually.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, both of your stories are so incredibly powerful. And I've had the privilege of kind of journeying with you. I feel like we've all kind of just grown into this work together. So the opportunity to share it collectively. And, I say in the intro, really intentionally, like, isn't it ridiculous that we would show up in the world as anyone but ourselves? And yet every day we're doing things, we're up against these elements to kind of perfect and perform, very much like I said. And as an empath, if you do sense that you're different, like, we experience the world differently from other people. And so, yeah, it is kind of this idea of like, what is happening inside of me? And I think some of the most powerful work that I've done, and I've witnessed the two of you do, is just this deep level of understanding, acceptance, and even appreciation. I've watched you guys really strengthen. And that's kind of what I want to talk about now. Like, why are empaths so important? Like, why is this such a vital skill or strength? Why do you think the world needs people wired like we are wired?
I'll go back to the analogy because this makes a lot of sense to me, of the canary in the coal mine, where I feel like the empaths are like the canaries in the world, where we sense the toxins, or we sense that something is off, that something's not right, quicker than someone who's not an empath. And you need people like that in the world, not only to be able to sense that something's wrong, whether it's something big, or maybe it's just with someone that you are with. I work with children, and I very quickly can pick up on if something's off with a child. And then I also just can have a sense of, do they need space? Do they need words of encouragement? Like, it just kind of comes to me. And we just need people that have that level of sensitivity and that depth of feeling and awareness to actually, I feel like, to bring some healing and some encouragement to people or a person or just an issue.
Yep. That's the beauty of it. The emotion of empathy is it's beautiful. And being an empath is actually beautiful. But I think Kimmy and Carrie, you just did too, kind of alluded to the fact that it has some sharp edges to it. And with this information and all of these tools that we're learning, and being able to have a community of being in this together, there is a sense of like, we can go out into the world with this intuitive level of knowing. I've been kind of coined as a coach who just gets it, right? I'm just a therapist and a coach who gets it. And just like that, I can sit with someone and almost instantly put pieces together for them in ways they've never been able to understand. And whether we're in the school systems, whether we're in our own communities or in a practice like mine, friends, family, it's just like this sense of we can see and detect things, that strengths and struggles that people have. Yeah. Kimmy?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I also have worked with kids for a long time, and same thing, just being able to really be able, like you said, to assess, do they need space? I think it's just as important of knowing this little kiddo just needs some time, needs a chance to relax, or does this kid need a hug? Without them even saying a word, sometimes you can just pick up on their vibe or whatever. But I notice in my own family, in my husband, in the grocery store, anytime I feel like I definitely have a sense of knowing and have paused in the middle of shopping and things, just staying close to somebody because I can feel the energy that they need help, and being bold sometimes and even asking, can I help you? Because you can just feel that sense sometimes that somebody needs help. And I do think that is a gift that we bring into this world, that we're able to see, sense, feel some of those things that, maybe other people don't. But it is definitely a gift. And I love bringing this to the table.
It's interesting because I see now on the empowered side of this work, how necessary that skill set is. Can either of you or both of you talk a little bit about what life was like before, if you would be in the grocery store or at work, sensing and detecting and not knowing, like, wait a minute, why did my mood just get so heavy? Or why is my energy level so drained? Or why do I instantly detest that person that I don't know? Like, what was it like before, when you were kind of going through the world, having that level of absorption or awareness of other people's emotion and energy? What was that like without this skill set? Can you remember back to an incident or situations like that?
I know for sure I can. I think, like Carrie said in the beginning, you just feel off. You feel like something's wrong with you. When you walk into a room without the knowledge that we have now, and you immediately feel this reaction when nobody has really even said anything to you, nobody may have even looked at you, but you feel this overwhelming just burst of energy because of the room that you're in. You think something's wrong with you, so you think, what's wrong? Why am I feeling hot? Why am I feeling flushed? Why am I feeling anxious? All these feelings come flooding in. So then you think, what's wrong? Am I getting sick? What are these sensations that I'm feeling? You don't understand. And later in life, I've learned that those were more of my body giving me signals. But at that time, it makes you feel sort of crazy when you don't know, or, when you're out and about and you're around somebody that you don't even know in the grocery store, passing them on the street, and feeling this just desire to literally stop in your steps and talk to them for no indication that you should be talking to them, but your radar is going off saying, this person needs you, and sometimes I don't always get the confirmation that I need, or that, but something has stopped me to reach out to that person. So it's very uncontrolled before I learned, and very uncertain. I didn't understand it. So I think that's probably the biggest things that I remember. And then also being very misunderstood when I would express what I was feeling to other people. They would think I was nuts when I would just say, this room feels off. They didn't understand it.
Well, and the idea that energy exists in people, places, and things. Like, we can absolutely pick up an object and be like, or walk into a room and be like, what in the world has gone on in here? And so, yeah, and everyone else is smiling and having a great time. And we're all like contorted in the energy of an experience. And people are like, wow, what? Or we have to leave. I know we've talked many times about socialization and what that's like, being around crowds or different types of environments, whether it's music, commotion, alcohol, energy, like just detecting those types of things. And prior to this, not knowing how to really regulate, process, or move energy, not being able to even understand it. So yeah, absolutely. Kind of a before and after picture of what it was like. Carrie, do you have any perspective about that?
I think a word that really resonates with me that you mentioned was heavy. Life was really heavy.
Yeah.
Life was really intense. There was struggle. There was a sense of inner chaos and almost sometimes feeling outside of my own body, just living in a space, not like where I was so caught up in other energy, other emotion, that it was unclear what I was really feeling and what I really thought, what I really wanted or needed. And I think that did cause a lot of dysfunction in relationships. It caused hyper responsibility within my family of origin, feeling like things were my fault when they weren't, or I was causing things, or I could change things that I couldn't change. So just definitely before knowing how I am in the world, purposely created this way and how to use tools to manage it and the beauty of it. I think life was just hard. It was heavy. There was struggle. And there's much more of a sense of me being assimilated at this point, body, mind, and spirit, compared to the way I used to be.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking about empowered, educated, equipped, and empowered, because it's this sense of overwhelm sometimes, and being in the world today's day and age with news, social media feeds, attack, assault, violence. Empaths have such tenderness and compassion. Not only can we feel, and I think this is kind of what you're saying, not only can we feel our own experiences, but they're often interwoven with other people's. And when other people's energy and emotion is so intense or so bombarding, it can be something we watch on TV. And pointing to my TV, it's kind of this idea that we can even just witness something secondhand. We don't have to be in the midst of it, and it doesn't even have to be our own. How completely overwhelming other people's experiences can be in situations like that, and learning to detect. When we come back, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to talk about what are some tools you've learned to be able to manage energy, separate your experiences from that of other people, certainly the gift of awareness and understanding all of that. So be mindful of kind of like where we might go next. But you are listening to The Ally Effect with me, Allyson Blythe. Today, I do have two amazing guests, both Kimmy and Carrie. When we come back, we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation and let these ladies continue to educate, equip, and empower you. We'll be right back. We're back here on The Ally Effect with me, Allyson Blythe, certified life coach and licensed clinical social worker. The Ally Effect, authentically living life your way, really handing you the steering wheel to your own life to help you be educated, equipped, and empowered with the way you're navigating through life. I want to make sure before we go much further, you're probably going to be hearing some stuff today that you can really relate to, and really your eyes might be opening to the first time of like what it's like to be in this world, potentially with either the emotion of empathy or as an actual empath. So if you want to be in touch with me, don't ever hesitate to call my office at 859-341-7773. If you want to email me, good old-fashioned email, right? AllysonBlythe@live.com. Check out my website. You want to learn a little about me and kind of some history and where I came from, and certainly the offerings that I have, AllysonBlythe.com. And social media, great way to get just a little bit of a boost throughout the week, throughout your day. Allyson Blythe, life coach on any social media platform. Today, I have the gift of welcoming back both Kimmy and Carrie, who have done the work of becoming empowered empaths, two women who I've watched over the years really kind of step into their full strengths and beauty of being an empath in today's day and age. Before knowing what it was, potentially feeling very plagued, saturated, overwhelmed, struggling, kind of a ton of self-doubt and confusion about what was going on inside of them. And as they've traveled this journey, educated, equipped, and empowered, and kind of like, I think I know, I think I understand what it is that's going on inside of me and how I'm showing up in the world. And then also to women who've brought themselves fully to a beautiful community of empaths who gather together. So today, ladies, thank you for being back here. We started to talk about like kind of the before and after of being in the world and now knowing what it is. And I believe, I will often say to my clients, this stuff doesn't get cured. It doesn't get fixed. It's not like we're going to change your wiring. We don't want to change your wiring. And I do think, just like our health, our finances, our cars, our lawn, our homes, we do need to kind of care and manage how we are and who we are in this world. What are some resources? What do you do to take care of yourself? We've learned a lot. We've spent a lot of time together. We've learned a lot of tools, a lot of different resources. What are some of the main ones that you've learned to be able to use on a consistent basis to stay on the more empowered side of being an empath?
I think for me, energy is huge for an empath. It's just, and I am a very energetic person. I am constantly moving. I have a really hard time sitting still. And that's a good thing sometimes, but then also I'm learning, I feel like so many cues keep coming in to slow down in nature. Both of those have been huge for me over the past, I guess, since we've been meeting the past 6-9 months that we've really been, and it's been extremely helpful for me. Those 2 words, slow down and then getting into nature. So I guess it's more than 2 words, but slow down and nature are my themes, I guess I would say. And just really taking the time in nature, no headphones, just taking the dog, really just listening, stopping, taking that time to focus. I know these might sound like little things, but they've been huge for me. Just noticing the little critters on the ground, the details in leaves. I don't slow down enough, and slowing my body down is almost like a recovery. It's a reset when my energy and the input from the world is so heavy and it's so much. I've never given myself the gift truly to settle down, to stop, to slow. And I really feel like it's become a little bit of a gift. It's allowing my shoulders to relax down a little bit simply by walking, not running, just walking, and sometimes walking barefoot, really letting my feet feel the earth, feel the grass, feel the temperature. All these little things help with my external inputs. So for me, slowing down in nature have been huge ways to help balance this crazy amount of energy that empaths feel. So that's one for sure.
Very cool. We live in a society where we are assaulted by stimuli all the time, whether it's notifications on our phone or, again, news feeds and all the Amazon doorbell ringing, all of these opportunities to just, let me look that up on my phone, constant stimulation. And for any human being, we're not designed to be that way. We're not designed to continuously think about. I mean, we have to sleep. We have to slow down a little bit. But we live in a society that is so fast paced, even if it's not just in movement, in the stimulation coming in. And your point is absolutely critical in terms of unplugging and getting yourself grounded. That's so much of what we've talked about, especially with energy. If you're affected by energy, if you're experiencing or you've absorbed a lot of energy, knowing how to ground your energy and ground yourself. If you're going to be going out into the world, knowing how to feel deeply, deeply rooted, there is nothing more beautiful than quiet, stillness, rest. And literally, I'm sitting, I think you guys know this, I have a rock, it's pretty big, I put my feet on this rock as we're talking because it's earthly and it has very grounding energy. So even if you have to sit at a computer screen all day, what can you do to get yourself grounded? Feet on the earth, bare feet, sitting on the earth, leaning back against a tree, all of those things. Nature is a beautiful example of how to be in the world. So yeah, excellent. How about for you, Carrie?
The first thing that comes to mind is the word retreating. And what I mean by that is retreating from the situation or environment that is feeling overwhelming, overstimulating. There's too much coming in. allowing myself to step out or to leave. Breathing is a big one for me. And then also really paying attention to what's going on in my body. I love the question, is this in my highest and best interest? And then just seeing what that feels like. Does that feel warm? Does it feel cold? We've talked about the body testing. I am a big visualization. I like visual analogies. So closing my eyes as I'm breathing and just visualizing something that's calming, that's grounding. And then there's something else I was going to mention. I think overall it's just self-care. So it's really recognizing what it is that's not working in the moment. And then for me, it's about retreating out of that and just experiencing, allowing myself to experience things that are calming to me.
Two things that I really picked up when you were talking. The first one is sensory. Empaths have very significant ways that they receive information. I keep saying this, but spidey senses. And so things like fragrance or sound, sensory type stuff, gut knowing. And what I hear you kind of talking about is these ways that you can step back from a situation and be able to still experience things through the senses to be able to detect, but also regulate. Your word retreat allows me to recognize that as empaths, we often don't know we have a choice. If we feel something, we talk so often, especially in class, about like we're lean inners, right? Like we tend to lean really far forward. And retreat can be an energetic lean back from someone. You can literally exit a situation and you can leave a building, you can leave a conversation, anything. Or you can even just energetically retreat from a situation, use your senses to kind of get yourself grounded, to be able to consciously know what's theirs, what's mine, what do I want to do in order to regulate. That's one of the things that happens with empaths is because they absorb and take on so many other sensory levels of input, it's hard for them to regulate. They're getting it from every dynamic. And so retreat gives you a choice, remembering that we have choice in who, what, when, where, how, why we engage or don't engage, if we say yes to something, if we don't. Absolutely. Perfect. Anything else either one of you want to say about that?
Just that for me, what you were saying, it's very much a pause button. Like I need, being an empath, a pause button to ground, to settle, to process, and to kind of sift or sort or filter what's mine and what's coming from the outside in, so that I can make authentic choices and I can respond authentically and in my highest and best interest. And what's in my highest and best interest is always going to be in the highest and best interest of those that I'm with.
Yeah. Okay. Kimmy?
And I just really like the word that you said, regulate, because I think that's huge. Again, because as an empath, there is so much energy, sometimes distorted, sometimes confusing energy, sometimes exciting, loud energy, and just learning to regulate it is just a huge tool that's been so beneficial for me. I'm one of those that picks up energy from even inanimate things, pictures. And so to be able to go into nature and kind of transfer that ability to pick up on energy to nature, to stand in trees and little bugs and things like that. And just to feel the energy of that is so regulating, though, when you're feeling confused about your energy, to take it out into nature. And really, it just feels balanced sometimes in nature, to feel the energy from that. So I'm not sure if everybody will relate with that, but if you are, I hope that kind of encourages you. So
yeah, empaths tend to be very drawn nature, animals. And I think there's two things, especially when I just heard you talking, simplicity and ease, right? It's just what exists in nature. And there's no part of nature. We've talked a lot about force versus flow, and the idea that there's no part of nature that kind of forces its way through. You don't see the bugs really kind of dominating in through. It's just this natural level of being, simplicity and ease. The world is so complex. And when you're in nature, it just brings you right back to the basics.
Yeah.
So in my practice, and I think also online, I offer the classes, CBD, commodities, boundaries, and decision making. I also offer radical self-care. And you guys have partaken in some of that. You Misunderstood is also a book and a course online in which I write about tools. I want people to not only have awareness, because that is a tool in and of itself, but knowing what is happening is very different than knowing what to do. In all of that coursework, part of what I talk about are actual tools. And I'm thinking specifically about things like boundaries, understanding your commodities, time, energy, and effort. And remember those SOS tools, those sense of self tools, actually 10 specific things designed to strengthen you, give you a more solid foundation. Out of all the things, and maybe you have, certainly there's many more that I haven't just mentioned, are there other things that you know is specifically a tool you bring with you in order to have some conscious awareness when you're going out into the world, when you're doing that level of self-care or engaging with other people? What tools do you bring with you?
Something I think I bring with me is, and I'm kind of getting back to that pause button, but having something that I can say when I feel like I'm maybe put on the spot, like having a phrase like, I'll listen, but I might not be ready to make a choice yet or decide yet, or give myself, maybe it's just permission, give myself permission to redecide something.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've really been utilizing more, that makes just navigating the world, navigating situations, relationships easier. And again, that allows me to kind of hit a pause button so that I can respond versus react. And I can be in flow. I can know the direction I'm supposed to go, the decision I'm supposed to make.
The redecide has been a big theme, I think, in our community lately, really being able to decide. I was going down this road and I've redecided with things. And you just mentioned 3 very specific SOS tools. And self-define is absolutely one, kind of the idea that I get to decide who and what and how I want to engage, define my basic belief systems about things, some level of self-responsibility, like this is not good for me. And how can I start to change my interactions, which is also self-honoring. I want to align my behavior with what's in my best interest. In having a script, I write different types of scripts in Misunderstood for people, because often it's like that deer in the headlight. And as an empath, you might be a pleaser who's absorbing the energy and you feel like you have to give a response. Having a script, maybe it's one I've written, maybe it's one that Carrie has shared, or maybe you write your own, a line to be able to buy yourself some time to get yourself regulated, grounded, maybe you get out into nature so that then you can respond. Reacting versus responding to totally different things. Yeah, very cool. Kimmy?
And I think kind of along that same line, sometimes I feel like if I am a pleaser and will say things just to please or, not to get into an argument. And I think I've also learned that sometimes no response is okay. That if I'm not ready to give a response, I'm not, if there are some situations where I'm not required, and it's okay. I don't have to give an immediate response. And that's honoring, because I don't know right now. It's okay to say, I'm not ready to answer that, because I think I'm always one that wants to give the answer right away, or to agree or disagree with somebody when maybe I don't know where I fall in line with that. So I think for me, also taking a minute to realize I don't always have to have that reaction. And then the other tool I feel like that's been huge for me is if I know I'm going into a situation that's difficult, or a conversation, or talking with somebody, and this is a big one for me, is having something in my hand. I have a lot of little trinkets. Yes. I have seashells in my car. I have crosses on my nightstand, because that's where I do some of my conversations at night. Something for me to hold on to. It takes some of the energy that I have and kind of transfers it if I'm rubbing it. And if I'm feeling the energy as I'm talking with somebody, their energy coming to me, trying to overwhelm me, it kind of helps transfer it. So holding on to something has been very, very important for me. And again, I have them kind of spaced at different places of the house that I know. And even if I know it's a conversation that I'm going to have that's difficult, sometimes just having a pen and paper just to doodle, to transfer the energy that I'm feeling whether it's words or drawings or maybe just circles or something. So these are small little things, but I do believe that for me, it's been this perfect little puzzle of each little tiny piece that is making this work. It's not 1, 2, it is a whole little million piece puzzle that I'm finding each little piece works in different places. So
that's a beautiful illustration of that. And it goes back to the sensory stuff of what we were talking about earlier. I almost always will have something in my hand, knowing how to kind of protect this emotional center that, like different types of things. It's just a different way to regulate energy of how much we absorb, knowing how we can move through it. So absolutely, very, very powerful tools. We're going to take another break. But if you have some other tools that you really know intentionally, if you've got some examples, but we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation of what it's like to be an empath in today's day and age. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back here on the Ally Effect, Authentically Living Life Your Way. With me, Allyson Blythe. I'm a certified life coach and a licensed clinical social worker. We dig into this concept of authenticity, offering you some pretty rich material about how to build into yourself and feel strengthened and more confident about showing up authentically in your own life. I have 2 amazing guests with me today talking about what it's like to be an empath and their level of journey and transformation and strengthening as they've learned different ways. First of all, a deep level of self-understanding, self-compassion, and deep self-appreciation, which I've watched grow over the years. And really kind of knowing, like Kimmy was just talking about before the break, putting different pieces together to lay their own roadmap into how they want to be, who they want to be in this world, to be so much more empowered, educated, in being an empath in today's world. So one thing that probably any empath can relate to is this idea of intuition. That oftentimes we were talking about this as we were doing the intro, like empaths just know stuff and we don't even know how we know it. We just know that we know it. And it can be things about other people, about a situation, needs, like you 2 are both discussing. The intuition is such a profound way that we detect and sense. I'm wondering, what relationship do you have with your intuition? How have you learned that it's speaking to you? Anything you want to say about kind of that gut sense of how you're equipped as an empath?
I would say I'm still working on really honoring my intuition. I spent a lot of years, I think, very disconnected, unaware of it, not sure how to trust myself and my higher power to step out in faith with it. So for me, it's really been a process, and it's still a process of really just honoring my empathic abilities and recognizing I'm not wrong. And that's been a big hurdle for me, is I'm not wrong. I'm not too sensitive. I can operate from the inside out and not people please. And so when I get a feeling, when I kind of know something, I also can do a baby step and see and go in a direction, because I can be an all or nothing kind of thinker. So it's like I can do that baby step, and then I can do another baby step, and I can reassess something, and I can. So for me, I definitely feel like I feel it very much in my gut, and I also. I don't know. It's coming into your body and trusting those things in your body that you're sensing. And then for me, it's also about just embracing that higher power, God, to move and just know that you're moving in the right direction with that support. No, I was created to be this way. And, he's got my back. So it's a faith thing too.
Yeah. I believe that the gut is higher power. I mean, I think that's like the plug-in. And you just talked about this, and we talked about this earlier this week, that so much empaths often do feel very distorted in their body, a misuse or misrepresentation, a misalignment with their body, because they do feel so wrong or dysfunctional in so many ways. And so the body is often one of the biggest elements that takes abuse or mistreatment in some ways. It is not uncommon for misdiagnosed or dysregulated empaths to be addicted, to be labeled with some type of mental health issue. All riddled. It is very common for empaths. And so I believe that tuning in, this theme that we talk about in class about being embodied, fully incorporating, that's why the senses are so important, so that you can properly plug in to that higher sense of self. I refer to the gut also as your GPS. Gut, perception, and senses, and really that inner working. We might not know when a literal GPS kind of redirects us and we're like rerouting, like, no, I don't want to go that way. And how often when you're plugged in to that deeper sense of knowing and you develop trust, that's what our journey has been about, is that not only recognizing how the intuition speaks, what it feels like in your body, the sensory ways it's speaking to you, but also like, fine, yes, fine, lead me. And, we allow ourselves to be rerouted even when we don't get it. We don't like it. We don't want to go that direction. And so, I'm just kind of holding my belly, because it is like that intuitive sense of knowing that I believe higher power, whatever you refer to it as, is really the way that it's speaking directly to you.
For me, it's like the first signal. Now I realize if I feel heavy, it doesn't mean I am heavy. If I feel fatigued, it doesn't mean I am like, I need to go sleep. If I feel buzzed or scattered or like, it's really, it's like an indication that there is something that is going on. And now it's time to use the tools, get quiet, pause and ask the questions and really figure out what that intuition is leading me to do.
I refer to it as like a knock at the door. When we have a feeling or a sensation about something, we're not going to go run and hide from it, which a lot of times people will deny and suppress their own body, their own sensations and emotions about things. We also don't have to whip open the door and go through every time there's a knock. Like, we inquire, we investigate a little bit, like, oh, who is there? What time is it? What's going on? Am I expecting anyone? What's happening when you get those cues and sensations and sensory type stuff? It's information, and learning to recognize it, accept it, and investigate it a little bit. Yeah, beautiful. Kimmy?
I think it's interesting that my intuition with my family and close friends is easier to act on and to respond to. It's the ones that seem weird, that come out of nowhere, that those are the ones who are like, really? Is that what my body's telling me to do? But I asked my husband when we were started on this, I was like, do you think I'm an intuitive person? And can you give me an example of it? And he sat there and he goes, you do it all the time. He said, I can't think of one time. I do. I can pick up on sentences. I can pick up on needs. I pick up on phoning our son who's a little bit further away, because I just get a gut that something's wrong. But it's the weird ones. I think that I was in a restroom, and for some reason I had a dime in my pocket, and I kept being told to put the dime on the counter. I have no idea why. And I didn't almost do it. I was like, this is ridiculous. Nobody even uses coins anymore. Why am I putting this dime? But I followed through. I have no idea if that dime impacted anybody, anything. I have no idea, but I went with it. It was as weird as this dime situation was. It truly would not leave me alone the whole time. And I wasn't in there very long, but it was just that the whole time the dime kept speaking to me. So I left it on the counter. I don't know what will happen with it, but you do get a nudge. And sometimes you question, these nudges are absolutely weird and they don't make sense. And then you have other ones that do, you can pick up on some things in the room that you're like, okay, maybe I am understanding this nudge a little bit and I really should act on it. But there are definitely times where they don't make sense. And those are really the hard ones, but
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And that's why I compare it. That's why I do think it's so aligned. It's like having a relationship. And this word might not sit well with a lot of people, but it's a submissive cooperative relationship that we have with the intuition, that we're just like, I don't get it, but I trust you enough to know that you're going to lead me in the right direction, which is why I think a spiritual alignment is so important, because some of them do feel crazy. But if you're in the spirit realm and understanding, like, we see about this much of the world, and yet it's so much bigger and greater than us. And so to be in alignment with a higher source that just goes, do me a favor, leave that dime, or, turn here instead. Like, it's just such a cooperative, beautiful component. And the intuition is this message center. And so the more healing, this is why embodiment and familiarizing yourself, healing your relationship and the treatment you've done into to your body is so incredibly important. So, yeah. I knew this would happen again, because we're already kind of like, we're inching towards the end of the show. And I want to talk about one last thing before we wind down for the day. What is it that you would want to offer most? Other people who are just hearing things, or maybe they're intrigued, like, tell me more about this. And I think I might be one too. Or someone who has been riddled and plagued, misdiagnosed, addicted, whatever it might be. What would you want to offer information, hope, inspiration, encouragement to someone who is in that state that you used to be in?
I think first and foremost, I really would like, we talked about spirituality and higher power, and just realizing that we are created this way. We were created with this gift, and that is really difficult sometimes, but you were purposefully, intentionally created with this gift. So that being said, the best thing is finding that community, finding that support to help you navigate it. And we talked about this last time too, is getting curious. I want to investigate this. I want to look into this. I want to explore, why do I feel different? Why do I feel misunderstood? I do love that word, because I think that's how we've all felt for years, is very misunderstood. So realizing that we are a gift to this world, we were created with this gift in mind. I think that's just beautiful. But then also really finding a community, reaching out and finding people that can help you understand this, because Allyson says there is a lot of rough edges that come with it that are very difficult. But once you're able to smooth some of those out, man, it has really been a gift, even more so now that I understand how to kind of harness in some of this energy.
Thank you. Carrie?
I would say very much the same thing, that knowing that we were created this way for a purpose is a very different mindset than thinking you are wrong or there's something that you need to fix about yourself. So shifting that opinion of yourself, that mentality, and certainly finding community, educating yourself. I feel like the more you know, the more I've known about this, the more time I've spent in community with others that are empaths, the more I've learned to value myself, the more I've learned how to operate with this gift. And also, you referred to this earlier. What is your toolbox? What is your toolbox of self-care? What is your toolbox of managing some of the energy, some of the overwhelm and that type of thing? But just really, I think overall, just learning how to just value yourself as an empath. And like Kimmy said, just you were created this way for a purpose. So just going from that point of view is just, to me, is empowering in and of itself.
Talk about redefining, right? Yeah. Like it's, and self-honoring. There's such two powerful tools to help you be able to define yourself as gifted. Self-permission is another tool. Like, I get to show up in the world this way, and a purpose. I think, Carrie, you just said that, like, I have a purpose and a role in this world to serve, to educate others, to touch other people. And I ultimately have a responsibility to myself to be at my best and to be using my gifts from the strength inside. So what do I need to do? People will ask me all the time, what do you do for self-care? How do you take care of yourself? And I have a whole resource guide of like how I do, what is it I do to show up in the world. So before we end, anything else, just a quick blurb, anything else that's kind of lingering for either one of you?
I think one thing that like we didn't get to talk on as much, again, is the spirituality is realizing that if you're a person of faith, maybe this might be even more confusing for you. And I know that it is for me sometimes, realizing that, when I have a gut feeling sometimes, knowing that nudge can come from God, that can come from, that little nudge, he put that in us for a reason. So realizing that can be confusing. I think sometimes for me, having the faith base that, is this from God? Is this from, yes, it is. And it's a nudge that he's given me. So realizing again, we were created by him with this gift. So when you have that nudge, that it may be from him. So that was just something I thought of.
Okay, cool. Any last nuggets, Carrie?
I would just say that I hope that anyone listening, if they can relate to the three of us in any way, just to be encouraged and just to start to explore, because I have struggled a lot in my life for many, many years and didn't understand and thought I was different and thought I was wrong and thought I needed to fix myself and be more like other people. And to come from that place to the place I am now, it's just a totally different way of being in the world. It's a lot lighter.
Yeah, right. Heavy to light. Absolutely beautiful. You ladies know how much I appreciate you. You know that I've been so honored to be able to kind of travel through this journey with you. You've taken the time now, 2 episodes to just share of yourself, of your experience. I always appreciate the way that you show up authentically and vulnerably, and now really being able to support other people in authentically living life your way. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for taking the time. Just thanks for being you and showing up for this work.
Thanks,
So
Alice.
Thank you.
If you want to contact me, you can do so at my website, AllysonBlythe.com. Send me an email if you like. Follow me on social media. Get in touch with me. I'm sure you've heard some stuff today. And if you are someone, very much like these ladies just shared, if you are someone who's got this question of what's wrong with me, what's going on, can I have a deeper understanding? The answer is absolutely yes, you can. There is hope. There's an entire community and resources available for you. I really want to thank you for tuning in to the Ally Effect, Authentically Living Life Your Way. Join me the first and third Thursday of every single month on Transformation Talk Radio. Next time, we're just going to keep the journey continuing along this road of authenticity, covering yet another set of tools, tips, and techniques to help educate, equip, and empower you in authentically living life your way. Thanks for joining today. Have a great week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ally Effect with Allyson Blythe. The moment you decide to take control of your own well-being, you start the journey of authenticity. Tune in next time for more empowering conversations and practical tools to help you shed your fear, worry, comparison, and less than beliefs. Stick with us as you step into the driver's seat and head off onto the road of success and happiness. Your best life awaits.